Starting in a moment's time. Very good. Welcome to this Imatra challenge. Webinar is one word to use if we were all live, but because we're not all live, perhaps a recorded session might be a better one. I am very pleased to have all the judges and Nishan with us this morning as we are recording this. At this point, I will share the screen just to briefly introduce the challenge. So Imatra challenge started in early December when the call out for students was sent. So basically, the idea of the Imatra challenge, the guidance for the students was to familiarize with the present challenges of the city of Imatra and come up with a roadmap or an idea, one-off idea for the future years to address these challenges. And the different material that was in place was the 2030 vision paper, the concept, the exam student report, and then the video of about 20 minutes of the background information of what can be done and what thoughts there is about the case Imatra. And amazingly, because we published the challenge right around the mid part of December, we received 27 proposals, and the challenge was then, of course, how to judge them. But at this point, before jumping into the proposals more deeply, I'm very pleased to introduce the judges. They're very great judges from representing different perspectives. Do you want to, Kaisa, start introducing yourself?
Yes, thanks you. Hi everyone, I'm Kaisa Weiniker. I work as a student agent and at Business Mill at Lab University of Applied Sciences. I work closely with students and, for example, also with Firmatiimi and Lutes, which was mentioned some of proposals. I work also as a project manager at Talent Hub South Carolina project, which main point is to help combine local companies and international students. I bring the young perspective for the jury.
Very good. Pleased to have you, Kaisa. Then Anna.
Yes, so my name is Anna Helminen. Hello everyone. I am originally from here, Imatra. I have lived here nearly all my life, so I have the basics and the background, so to say. I have been involved in city administrations for 16 years. I have been a member of city council, and for the last 8 years I have been chairman of the city board. And on my, let's say, free time, but I don't know which one is hobby and which one is work, the city council, city board, or my real job. So I work as an entrepreneur here in Imatra on a safety business. Thank you.
Great to have you on board.
Thanks.
Razi?
Good morning, good day, everybody. Thanks, Saku. So my name is Razi Latif. I am the head of office of a UN innovation and technology lab based in the Helsinki region. I'm also one of the acting heads of the United Nations in Finland. We share that responsibility with a few others. My experience is essentially running, implementing, designing development projects, mostly in Africa and Asia, over the last 25 years. But closer to home, we have done a lot of work with a UN youth delegate in Finland. We've done a lot of work with university students on challenges. And last year we did a very big challenge, primarily with Aalto University students around climate change. So the experience is both kind of Finnish, but also very international.
Great to have you on board. Peter?
Good morning, everyone. Good to be with you today. My name is Peter Sjöberg. I'm the Managing Director and Chief Operating Officer for the Nordics for the banking group Santander.
Great to have you on board. And Mikko?
Hello, my name is Mikko Nieminen and I'm Mill Director at Stora Enso Imatra Mills. I'm born at Imatra, but I studied at Helsinki University of Technology and then for 10 years worked at somewhere else in Finland, and since now 10 years I have been living and working here at Imatra, and now almost 2 years as a Mill Director.
Great to have you on board as well. And that's the 5 key judges making the decisions of which ones of the 27 proposals will be chosen as the winner and in the top 3. Then we have Nishan and Kaisa. Do you want to briefly introduce yourselves as well? Nishan, if you go first.
I was going to open the floor to the Deputy Mayor, but of course, save the best to last. But so I'm Nishan Chavachandran. I am a consultant. My trade is in cybersecurity, but I do a lot of work in, technological innovation, sustainable development, and all of that fun stuff. For some context, we're directly working with the city of Imatra on their vision for redevelopment for the next decade, and of course interconnecting a lot of other stuff. So my background, as I mentioned, is in cybersecurity, originally from the UK, and a lot of my work mainly deals with national governments, NGOs, grand scale things. But of course, as we're moving forward, I think regionality and local level grassroots implementations are really important. One thing I would also like to add as well, which I really like with this setup, is that I've noticed that there are 3 types of people in this world. There are the Imatrans that never left Imatra, the Imatrans that left Imatra but somehow got drawn back to Imatra, and then the third group, which I guess is like myself and Razi, who are totally non-Finnish, non-Imatrans, but are somehow being pulled into the gravitational field of Imatra. So I think it's quite interesting and quite exciting. But that's all I need to say about that, I think.
Many thanks, and you've been a key asset to this challenge as well. And I have to comment that I've been speaking to a lot of people over the past half a year or so about Imatra, and it's surprising how many friends Imatra has. Alumni Imatrans, outside of Imatra, and then people who have visited, etc. And Kaisa.
Thank you. Hello, everyone. I'm a deputy mayor of Imatra, the city of Imatra, and been working actually for the city already. The 10th year just began. I started with as a lawyer in the administration, and now I've been a deputy mayor since 2018. And excited about all this, and really pleased to meet you all and be a part of this. Thanks.
Great to have you, Kaisa, as well. It's Yeah, and briefly myself, my name is Saku Tihveren, and I've been working in the field of recruitment for 10 years, and I got lured by Imatra last May when we did a family vacation to the Imatra Kylpylä, and this background picture of mine is just next to the Imatra spa, and the rest is history. I'm very glad to be sort of contributing activities to the case Imatra. Now, like mentioned, we received 27 proposals, and to do that in a fairly limited time, because we published the actual Imatra challenge in mid-December, and the deadline was, I believe it was something like the 8th or 9th of January. So there was a few weeks time over the holidays, and we received 27 well thought out proposals from universities nearby, especially LUT and LAB and then some, but also from University of Eastern Finland, from University of Helsinki, from Hanken, from the Applied Sciences of University in Vaasa, and also Haaga-Helia, and to have that sort of thinking kind of like involved to be developing ideas and initiatives for Imatra is superb. And in the next few minutes, I will briefly sort of highlight that even though we were choosing 3 winners at the same time, I have to say that we wouldn't be paying enough justice to the people who did a lot of time thinking about the case. So Auvinen was thinking about the second career training grounds at Imatra. Mogilny's thinking about startup hub, project funding 50k per startup for 2 years. Havolinna was thinking about a different look at Imatra's challenges. Good thinking. There's Nedelkin and others were thinking about the expo building and event and etc. Imatra smart city. Sorry. Well, start it again as well. Why not? Kipnis and others. And the makerspace. There's the Gregors. Diversify cultural feeds, decentralize, quicker decision making. There's Makkonen and others talking about remote work facilities and more youth support, more collaboration. Dombovari calling out for a CO2 neutral tech hub and branding it, building it. Bentinen and others looking at entrepreneurial and startup perspective with a strategic program, how to go about it for the city council. There's Lvov and others looking at the international talent hub, the services on web page and twin towns. A lot of thought put into all of these. Akbo and others highlighting that an Imatra University of Art could be a great way to go forward. Bako highlighting a plan of 22 to 30 of Startup Hub, a school global talent summit. Kirjalainen comparing the case to Uusi Kaupunki and coming up with a roadmap how to go forward, and then a video of that. Shustava and others coming up with a self-city research center and some analysis kind of like how that can be useful. Aaltonen highlighting a case for becoming a student mayor for a week, and a great idea in itself. Lynn highlighting the case for language courses, long-term stay for startups, and such like. So language course referring to Finnish language, of course. Then Jokelainen looking at the regional e-commerce project, and criticizing also. There was some good critique on the Imatra communications, that there's many different streams of communications in place currently, and then Kuntu and others talking about the next generation Imatra Science Corner scholarships and such like. Puerta and others, making a case for sustainability city, like Vaasa as energy city and business accelerator perspective put forward as a way of doing these. Then Bikkulava and others are making a case for hub roadmap, and then Pietiainen making a case for creating training collaboration with other universities in the southern Finland, and creating a bit of a remote work hub. And then Kinisjärvi highlighting the case for Imatra Foundation for New Entrepreneurs, FOSS, then creating a case for 3 steps of diverse skilled people and innovative spaces and ecosystem and such like, and Kiukkonen making a case for usage of spare office and retail space, Kosonen talking about and others, students contributing engagement in different ways and improving bus connections, and then Kauhanen talking about Imatra data usage, branding the remote workplace, creating a bit of a digital twin, a well-framed perspective, and the role of myself as the challenge coordinator was then to somehow try to in as transparent manner as possible to then choose the ones that the judges would be actually going through, and look and using the criteria that we had, basically, about 2/3 of the assessment being about the boldness of the proposal, and then highlighting those that were bold, and then proceeding to present them to the judges. Anything that you would like to say at this point, dear judges, about the very many proposals, because we know that to highlight only the top 3, as we are going to be doing in a moment's time, does not pay justice to the hard work that the students have gone through. Any ones that you want to highlight at this point, perhaps? Peter?
Yes, hello. I think I'd just like to make a general remark. For everyone watching, and for those who have participated in this challenge, I think if you've participated in this challenge, you should feel very proud. You've done great work here. I think I can speak, of course, only for myself, but I was really blown away in many respects in terms of the breadth and the depth of different proposals. You took different angles, to a very broad and a large challenge, of course, to look at such a large issue. And I was really very, very happy to be part of this. I think I learned personally a lot from you, and your proposals. And I would just like to say this word of encouragement that you've really done something great here, and it's been a real pleasure to sort of look at all of the proposals, not only the top 3, but the entire list. So congratulations to everyone participating. Thank you.
Yes, I believe we all share that perspective. That's very, very well put. Anna.
Thank you. I would also like to thank everyone who participated in this challenge, because all of the work consists many great ideas, and by combining them, you would have the super master challenge piece of work. And especially what I liked which is quite normal that we combine and find the economical ways. So try to support the economics and welfare, and that's a must issue. But I also liked the ideas where participants suggested personal things like rebranding the cooperation with talented people, making new evaluation with talent summits, making community things. So it's not always only one thing which matters, but it's the combination. And I think all the participants had great ideas. So thank you very much.
Yeah, very good points. Thinking about these kind of like these different themes, I think there's a lot of the student collaboration. There's a lot about the startup hubs. There's the incubator kind of like thinking for new business and such. Like we've been talking about how to perhaps create kind of like the next stages for Imatra, kind of like how to turn the tide, so to speak. Last year there was over 400 people lost at Imatra, so kind of like at the population numbers. So kind of like demonstrating that there definitely needs to be something concrete taking place. Do you see that these ideas from the student proposals can feed into kind of like addressing this?
Well, short answer, yes, absolutely. But I think you want more than that, right? So yeah, I think echoing our esteemed judges, I think what really took me aback by these proposals was just the smorgasbord, the variety of the proposals and the different perspectives and what they kind of took into account. Of course, some of the final or those that didn't make it through to the finalists still had some very, very valid and interesting ideas, which I think will certainly feed into the thinking. So it's not, so I'm also wanting to stress that point that it's not that we're picking the three and disregarding the rest. Like all of these contributions are really valid. But I think, of course, the final three perhaps encapsulated what we were after, perhaps a bit more than the others per se. But going back to your question, because of course I might go off on a random sermon. In terms of tackling the challenges that Imatra faces, so of course we have the reducing population, or both the aging population, the reducing population. And interestingly enough, from Imatra, which I think perhaps makes it a bit more unique compared to some other regions in Finland that suffer from the same challenges, is that Imatra is very much sitting on the doorstep of a lot of valuable assets. And when I mean valuable assets, I'm talking about LUT University and a lab. I'm talking about, of course, the legacy industries of Stora Enso and the forestry and mining and whatnot, the community that's been here, the border of Russia, all of these different things in place. So one thing that really interested me from some of these proposals were the proposals that took this type of thinking, and kind of incorporated everything and looked at lots of different perspectives, looked at the tourism, but as well as looking at some innovative tech, whether it was agri-tech and some of the things there, and also looking at things that are already happening. So there were some examples from things that are happening in New York, for example, or even in Helsinki or whatever it might be, but connecting those dots with what we already have in Imatra, because I think that's the most important thing. Then, especially when we're talking about smart cities, a lot of countries or regions around the world who have the resources, our friends in the Middle East, for example, who have a lot of money that can say, let's build a smart city, and they start one from scratch and they build everything with all the right facilities and whatever else. But one of the big challenges we have for a municipality or a region is that we have the pre-existing infrastructure and everything here, so we need to actually build upon the foundation that's here, doing it in a way that's sustainable, so we don't have an abstraction. So looking at the finalists, I think they've done that very well, where they've identified some of the pre-existing and some of the strengths that Imatra has, and then how do we build upon that, and but at the same time still be a bit bold and maybe think slightly outside the box and provide that perspective. From one of the things I also liked with the challenge as well, which is a huge challenge across the field and around the world is engagement. The barriers to engagement that exist, and a lot of efforts in lots of different areas. It's not just within what we're talking about here, but a lot of efforts work in silo. And from a municipal perspective, even within a municipality, there's lots of things that are going on that are happening in silo that even other people within the same municipality don't even know about, let alone people within the circle like myself, and then extended citizens and whoever. So I think it's this type of effort is important to both engage with people that perhaps aren't already engaged with, but also breaking down those barriers, because a lot of these ideas are things that are happening, or at least that they're slightly connected with it, with an effort that's already going on. So we can feed that thinking into the pre-existing to power that, but also be inspired by things. So again, it's just breaking down those barriers, being more interconnected and communicative, and also ensuring that everyone is heard. So of course we've got the students here. I'm hoping as we move forward, there'll be other sorts of engagements with with citizens, with residents, with business owners, with all of the other streams, so that this all comes together. And I think that's also another thing to stress before I use all of my time will be that this is a multifaceted effort. So of course right now we're talking about the Imatra challenge from the student perspective and the students' ideas and the fresh thinking and everything else, but this is just one piece of the jigsaw puzzle. And I'm really hoping that as time goes on and we maintain the engagement with the people that have of course proposed and people moving forward, that actually they'll start to see where their contributions are fitting into this wider jigsaw puzzle, and really making this a really diverse and a bit of a melting pot of ideas and things moving forward. But,
wonderful.
I hope I answered your question. Maybe
I think you definitely did, and perhaps even more. But very good points, and because it's important to realize that we are using these ideas further, and really it's important to see how it kind of fits in the big picture. In about 3 minutes, I believe we will be having the winners joining us live here, not knowing that they've won. They are thinking they are in the top 3. And at this point, I would like to highlight the shared second podium. There is this. Can you see this, by the way, just to double check? So
Yes.
there's very good. There's the innovatiivinen ja elinvoimainen Imatra. So the innovative and elinvoimainen. That's my favorite word to translate into English. But sustainable, financially sustainable Imatra. And here, I think the perspective that they put forward, not really paying justice to the actual proposal, the depth of it, and etc., is really to link it to the people and coming up with concrete proposals how to make things better for the youth as well, and etc. And this is a remarkably kind of like a broad perspective and etc. So we are very, very happy to look at. So this is how developing a unified city center, collaboration with the universities, remote working facilities, decision making being entrepreneurship kind of like founded and etc. Then the participative budgeting and the work service for the youth. So very big congrats for Makkonen and collaborator, and just bear with me a second. I'll just good morning, Abe. We are just welcome to this call. We are just going through the number 2 proposal before then going through into your proposal. So bear with us just for a second. Perfect. And I'll just say the same to Ilahe as she is joining us. Great to have you as well on this call, Ilahe. In a moment's time, we will look into your proposal. We are now looking at the number two proposal, so bear with us for a second. So the number 2 proposal, the shared position is FUS, and coming up with this proposal of Imatra 21 challenge, coming up with these 3 key components, and then going through into more detail about how to do this in fact, but attract highly educated, diverse workforce, invest in innovative spaces to allow collaboration across the entire ecosystem, and to utilize the presence of multinational companies already operating in Imatra. And then kind of like going through in depth about kind of like how to go about it, and again highlighting that here's the roadmap that they propose, coming up with hackathons, and again repeating a little bit what we've been saying, that there are many great proposals outside the top 3 as well, and at this point. Very glad to congratulate Abe and Ilahe because your proposal has won the challenge, and I think before looking at the proposal in depth a little bit, I would love to hear about the work you did, because I think all the judges and myself and everyone who's been kind of like looking at the text have been looking at that. You have done quite a lot of work, at least that's how it seems. Or did you do it in one afternoon? How did you go about it?
Well, it kind of came up over lunch one day. We were out for lunch with friends, and Ellie brought up the idea, and we kind of forgot about it for a couple weeks, and then came back to it. She was like, "Hey, do you still want to do this?" And I was like, "Yeah, we have some time left." So it took definitely more than one afternoon, a couple afternoons.
Yeah, I seriously have to say that I want to join one of your lunches if your lunch leads to something like this. Something that you want to say about this, Ilahe?
I'm so excited, first of all, and as Abe said, one day out for lunch, and we decided to do this challenge, and it now it has a great result, and I'm so happy for that. And thanks from judges. They gave us such chance to show our and yeah.
It's your piece of work is very kind of like from my perspective, I think the word that springs to mind is all-encompassing, and very kind of like diverse thinking taking place, and a lot of hard work as well. I'll demonstrate just a little bit what the actual work looks like, and after that I would love to hear from Deputy Mayor Kaisa, kind of like where do these pieces of work, the proposals, where do they feed into? Or as I believe they are definitely not kind of like just kind of like the challenge works. They are such, but they are also linking into something else as well. So here we are. This is the proposal, and looking at the background, you started with the intro, and then looking at the infra at Imatra, then going through to the tourism side of things, and linking these different elements to the different elements that's been in place. Then ideally, then looking at the community as well, and then the industry. There's a lot of thought put into this, and it's such a rich demonstration of using, I could imagine everything you've read, but also everything you've done and seen, and etc. So this is amazing. Then coming up with this roadmap, it's a great piece of work, and congratulations for making this effort. Yes, Deputy Mayor Kaisa, how do you see, where do these proposals lead?
Thank you. And first of all, congratulations for the winners. It was really a very nice piece of work, as Saku already mentioned, and we are all very impressed. Actually, we were talking before you joined us that we are very impressed with all the 27 proposals. So they have a lot of different ideas that are most definitely going to benefit us as a city, and especially our decision makers. I hope will get into the ideas as well in order to really see what can be put into practice even immediately, and what can be put into practice in a longer term, and really start planning the steps to go to this Imatra vision for the next decade. But as I mentioned here, we are really going to use these proposals, and of course the top 3 and the winner will be in focus at first, but as I mentioned, all of the 27 proposals, and as the council period will change in the beginning of June this year, we are always also checking the city strategy at that point. So all of these works will be like background information for our decision makers as they are starting to make the strategy for the next 4 years for 2025, which will be on halfway to 2030. So of course that will be crucial time and the crucial steps to make some serious changes for how it seems that if we talk about the population decline and all of that, how do we deal with that in the future? So yeah, the ideas of this work, and yeah, especially from your work where you have really many perspectives there, we will go through very carefully and take that for the background information and for the ideas strategy work for the city. Thank you once again for joining the challenge and the really marvelous work you've been doing here. Thanks.
And at this point, many thank you for all the judges as well, and Nishan for thinking out planning for this proposal as well. And it's been a pleasure. Is there any final comments that you want to make? Well, Nishan, I knew I can trust on you. Go ahead.
Sorry, I get an itch, and if I don't say it, I'll kind of self-destruct. Now, one thing I really wanted to highlight, if it wasn't obvious, but I want to say it anyway, is what I really liked with the fact that Abraham and Alehe, who have obviously won because of their fantastic proposal, but I love the fact that they are international because I think this really dials into the fact of what we're trying to push in Imatra and in the region, in that we can't just rely on local assets and local thinking, as great it is, that we also need to factor in international thinking and the value and the perspective that international people can bring to the city and the region. So I think it's absolutely fantastic that this, you know, I love to be vindicated. So I really like the fact that this proves me right. So that of course is great. That I just wanted to mention that, and of course it's quite clear in the proposal, you know, especially with the map that I liked on section 7 with the proposed developments, because it's quite clear that even though the two of you are international, at the same time you've still got very local granular knowledge. You know, knowing that stretch it takes 40 minutes to walk. You know, I know that because I've experienced it and I've been forced to walk around Imatra and everything else. But of course, you know, that's the sort of thinking as well that I think some of the other proposals perhaps didn't take into account. So taking this grand vision, but then also applying it to a real world context. But yeah, I just wanted to also just echo my congrats, and yeah, I really liked it, and I'm looking forward to dissecting this further and applying some of this, and also engaging with you guys further as we move forward. But sorry, enough about me. It's about you guys. So congratulations.
Very good points. Excellent. I think we can carry on chatting for a few minutes more, but at this point I'll finish up this recording. Again, many thanks for Abe and Ilahe for the win, and many thanks for all the students who came up with great proposals.
Yeah, and thank you again. The organization of the project was great. The materials that we were given and the information was really good. I had been to Imatra a few times already, but Ellie hadn't been. But we discussed that we'll definitely be taking a trip there soon, maybe to see the museum, and yeah.
So you are more than welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Hope to see you in real life also.
Mm-hmm.
Perfect. Many thanks for the words. Yeah, what can I say? Heartwarming for to receive that sort of words as well. Many thanks, everyone. I'll stop the recording and now, and we.